Yes, a topic of great interest is the metal game, you know, rare earths and metal game it is being played out. Yesterday, the market, the silver market crashed. The gold market crashed. Is it a hype or is it the truth that people are accumulating, India is accumulating gold to relieve itself of the stress of the dollar?
All, like I told you, China started this in 2010, and India, I think, joined the game a couple of years back when we finally got our gold back, most of it at least from foreign wars. But all this is actually in preparation for a multipolar world where there will be multi currencies pushing for space. So the death pains of the dollar in that 20-25% space which we spoke about earlier will play out, and it will be a bit nasty in certain places, violent in some places, and it will be a damn squib in some places. But it will play out. Now, why gold and silver went up the way they did? Like I said, one, gold went up purely for the multipolar issues. Silver went up because China, which is one of the largest suppliers, stopped supplies. They have been playing a game for the last 2 years to see what the world does when they shut the tap for any particular item. Because what the world is not understanding is China is seeing where they are going and they are grabbing that space too. Because today they are the only ones with a positive net worth capital. Every other economy is struggling with debt. So they are just playing a game with the world where they shut off something for 2-3 months, and then when the world scrambles around and looks for alternate supplies, they go and latch on to those countries, sign deals with them, and take away that source also. So this is a cat and mouse game that China is playing out, and now that they have found out where the other silver in the world will come out and at what price point, that's also very important, because only at certain price points certain things would be functional, like shale gas. If you go below $45 a barrel, I don't think that's going to be economical anymore. So only it's above that shale gas comes into play and becomes a competitor. So like that, there are multiple mines in the world at multiple costs. So at what price, and costs are not just what you see on a balance sheet, there are off the balance sheet costs, no matter what kind of country it is. So what is the price point at which something opens up? So all this data you will only know in a live scenario where prices are actually pushed up. So this cat and mouse game China has been doing, and the world has been helping them along with the multiple data points by ferreting out alternates which China on its own could not.
So, recently we understood that India is playing a very big role in Africa, and it has tied up with a few countries, set up railways, roadways, and the repayment they have said we don't want it in dollars, they want it in rare materials and in gold and silver. Is it a tilting point for India to accumulate this kind of wealth?
No, this is not really wealth. This is actually payment. That's it. So it's actually a barter system that's going on, and this is not happening in all the deals, only in a few. And initially, the deals were to help the global south, and at some point, it also became a process to checkmate China in its BRI scheme, and those unfortunately are of negative returns to India at the sovereign level. But keeping those aside, where we are dealing with these countries and asking them to provide us with rare earth minerals, that is good in a way, But like I told you, in this cat and mouse game with China, it's not long before China takes away those avenues too.
And when you look at this gold accumulation by India, it is started, it made a beginning by accumulating gold and silver. Will that consequently increase the innate value of the rupee?
Like I told
Will
you,
that, and consequently, when the innate value of the rupee becomes better, other countries are already willing to trade in rupees. Will that make India the rupee more stronger vis-a-vis the dollar?
see, the strength of the rupee will only start coming out the day our trade balance is positive. And that is not happening till our oil bill comes down. And that, like I told you, I estimate the hump to be crossed sometime in 2042, because after that it will start falling precipitously as we shift largely at the retail level to EVs. So till such time, you can only expect the rupee to fall. Of course, this government has been a better steward than the earlier governments because they have arrested the general fall of the rupee quite substantially. So, to expect the rupee to strengthen now would be
To
highly
premature.
speculative and not on merit, definitely not on fundamentals. But yes, over the next 10 years, we can start seeing some pockets of resistance from the rupee.
If that is the case, I understand last year or somewhere, even the governor spoke about making the rupee, international. Is it too premature? I think it's too premature for us to enter that area.
No, I think what they are looking at is to free float the economy, I mean the currency. But they have their safeguards in it. We already have a partial free float going on. Whether it will be fully convertible or not, that is something the RBI will take a call because they are the best placed with all the data points at their hand. And considering the stewardship of the RBI, I mean, I've been watching these governors with, from a professional standpoint since the 90s, and I'm quite comfortable with the stewardship that they have exercised, except for one or two governors in between. But largely, the institution by itself is quite careful with what they have to do with the rupee, when they have to do it, and to what extent. Like, for example, even now, since the government is happy with the falling rupee, they are just allowing an orderly slide rather than a disorderly one, which will create more chaos.
Now,
So,
in there, I'd like to interrupt here.
yeah,
The dollar rate, I was looking, I told you of the slide with the dollar. Now, you said there is a possibility of the dollar coming down to by 30 to 40% and coming to a particular level. I spoke to a person who said that actually the purchasing power of the rupee is better than the dollar, and therefore vis-a-vis the dollar, actually speaking, the dollar is not 90 rupees, but the inner strength compared to the Indian rupee is only about 40 rupees or 45 rupees.
okay.
Is
The
it true?
the PPP value.
Is it a consideration?
No. The PPP value today possibly is at 24, 26 to the dollar. Of course, there is no official guidelines for this. These are more the private space rather than the government itself publishing a rate on a basket of goods. And again, in an economy, like I told you, since we have 800 million people requiring assistance of the government, possibly 300 million people who form the core of the economy, another 300 million people wanting to break into that top tier, and then the super uber rich. So we are possibly talking four different economies in one geographical space. So in that space, to expect one policy to function is a bit difficult, and that is why the PPP will be different for each one of these four economies within this one geographical space.
Oh,
So if somebody has a PPP of 26, somebody else may have 40, somebody may have 12, depending on the basket of goods that they are consuming.
oh, that's interesting. Let's continue on that.